haven't seen the glory of the coming to the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real weapons being real to sell. Might not have to see the glory of the coming to the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. Money, money, money. That's all you got to say. Being wealthy. I know you like Kanye West says, having money is not everything, not having it is. No, dude, already they think that God gives us the ability to create wealth. No, it's the love of money that's important. You know, when money so much, why he doesn't go to work? Yeah, I do think about all the things that I'm just trying to leave a legacy for money. It's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Craig Cortez.
Good morning, Black world, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, where I do my absolute best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to working men and women all over this great nation of ours. It is truly an honor, privilege, and a blessing to come to you live and direct from the Black Billionaires Club studios here in St. Louis, Missouri, home of your generational wealth building conference. It's going down in Atlanta, GA, guys, April 6th through the 8th. If you ever wanted to build generational wealth, then now is the time for you to go ahead and grab your tickets and go ahead and get connected with other like-minded individuals who are doing their thing on the wealth building front. We're going to make sure that our babies don't have to keep starting over from scratch. How many of you guys have to start over from scratch, right? No inheritance. Mom and dad worked extremely hard. Mom and dad worked extremely hard, but didn't have anything built because they didn't understand money and things of that nature. Well, you no longer have that excuse. If you don't have a legacy in place for your children, shame on you. Or you're not pursuing a legacy for your children, shame on you. So Atlanta GA, April 6th through the 8th. You can grab your tickets at wealth.joincorteznow.com. Wealth.joincorteznow.com, and literally learn how to build generational wealth with people who are doing it. Partnerships are being formed. Alliances are coming together. Accountability teams are being put together. You do not want to miss that. You grab your weekend pass, or you can grab your ticket for each individual event, whichever one you want to attend. It's going to be a great, great thing. Do me a huge favor. If you're checking this out on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're trying to top 2,000 subscribers before the end of March. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure you rate the show, thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter. But just let us know in the comments what you think about today's show or the show in general. And make sure that you interact with the show. And then hit that share button. YouTube don't show me a whole lot of share love, right? Facebook shows me the share love. YouTube, y'all don't pay y'all price for admission, man. Go ahead and hit the share button. And share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Google Plus, or whatever the icons are there, right, and built into YouTube. You can go ahead and hit the share button and comment where you're from. Let us know where you're from, as well as the name of the brand that you're building. We'd love to give you that business shout out. You never know who wants to connect with you based on what it is that you do and where you are. Also, do the same thing for me on Facebook, y'all. We're going to get into a heavy topic today, but I want you to share this because chances are there's men, there's brothers on your timeline who feel the same way that I feel and just don't quite know how to express it, or may even be ashamed to express it because of the topic itself, right? This fake TV macho bravado crap is killing us and killing our communities. So we're going to talk about some things that you can do to overcome that. So please hit the share button so that more and more people can get in on the conversation. And then the price of admission is the share button. If you want to give me a tip, then you can hit the likes and the shares and the hearts and the thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. That would be a tip. But your price for admission is to hit the share button. Thank you, Cassandra, for sharing. this morning. Appreciate that. Today's show is also brought to you by Mikey's Munchies Vending. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice interested in getting or learning more about the vending machine business? My man Mikey of Mikey Knows Biz, you guys have seen him on this show a few times, teaching how he started his business. He's got a book. He's a best-selling author now. He's actually about to take his brand and his business to another level, and he's now offering vending machine packages. So if you got a couple $1,000 and you want some passive income, you might look into getting you a couple vending machines and placing them in some high traffic areas. Doesn't take a whole lot, and his mentorship team will actually coach you through the ins and outs of the vending machine business. If you're interested in learning a little bit about the vending machine business, maybe you're thinking about doing something like that for your children, go ahead and inbox me and I'll get you some additional information on how to get that done. On and off today, but I got that, Sharon. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Pleasant good morning. What's going on, Antonio Jennings? So make sure that you connect with me via inbox or go to Mikey'sMunchiesVending.com. Mikey'sMunchiesVending.com to learn more. Lakeisha, great. I will connect with you after today's show, but it's a wonderful opportunity to get involved in the vending business. And we've made some connections that really lets you get involved for a lot less than a lot of the other companies that are out there. And you continue to help and support a young entrepreneur continue his dreams of being a millionaire by the time he's 18. So I thought that was super cool. So Mikey'sMunchiesVending.com is where you can go learn more about that. So let's get down to the get down, y'all. Let's get down to the get down. Is it me or does anybody else feel that macho-ness, manhood, and bravado is over dramatized when it comes to TV? Is it me or is it anybody else? Macho bravado is over dramatized, hyper toughness, hyper masculinity. I think that's killing us, first of all. And I think the only reason it's killing us is because it's over dramatized via TV, movies, media, and all of that stuff, man. I think there is some truth to a man being macho. There's some truth to a man knowing when and how to stand up. There's a truth to the inner fight that's in every man, right? But this hyper masculinity that you see every time you turn around, all of the stuff that we have been fed over the years, and I'm 43 years old, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, 80% of what I learned about manhood, because I learned it from TV, is 100% false, right? Men can't cry. Men can't be sensitive. Men can't experience emotion. Men can't be passive. Men has to, every man has to be a player. It has to go out and sow his royal oats at some point in his life. We've heard all of that stuff, and we continue to hear all of that stuff. But let me just get this off my chest, if you will. When your enemy knows more about you than you know about yourself, it benefits them tremendously to teach you to be the opposite of what they really know you to be. I'm gonna say that again so that you have the foundation of what we're going with this. When your enemy knows you more than you know yourself, they know your history, they know the stock from which you come from. When they know you more than you know yourself, there's a reason they're teaching you to be the exact opposite of who you really are. And we're drinking the Kool-Aid all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. See, true masculinity isn't a puffed up chest all day, every day. But that's what we're taught. True masculinity is not having a shouting match or screaming and yelling and threatening all the cotton picking time. But that's what we're taught. And if you look at what's going on in media now, they have both extremes when 90% of men fall in the middle. What do I mean by both extremes? Either there's a super hyper masculinity where everybody is a super gangster thug, hardcore, tough as nails type of guy, or they have the super feminine, extra soft cream puff type of guy, and there is nothing in the middle. When 90% of men and masculinity, true masculinity, lies right there in the middle, right? But TV will show you the hyper masculine so that you can imitate that, or they are more and more showing you the super feminine guy, and wanting more and more people to imitate that. So when you understand that stuff is false, you have to start to try to figure out, okay, well, what is real manhood? And this comes from this book. It's Iyanla Vanzant. It's called Up From Here: Reclaiming the Male Spirit. And this book means a great deal to me, because when I first, and I don't know if some of you guys have seen my story. I'm not going to get into all of my testimony today. If you want to see that, go on YouTube and do a search on how to get through what you're going through. If you go on YouTube and you do a search on how to get through what you're going through, is where I share my full testimony about everything that I've gone in through the abuse, neglect, and all that kind of stuff, and how I was able to recover, and how I'm still recovering from that, even as an adult man today. But I want you to go check that out if you want to see the whole story. But the reason this means a lot to me is because when I first was strong enough to admit to my family that I had been sexually molested as a kid, my sister, who is a psychologist, she gave me this book, and it really meant a lot. The gesture itself meant a lot, but then when I started reading the book and starting to understand what true masculinity is, and where it lies, and the right that I have as a man to feel every ounce of my emotions and be still a man, it was priceless and is priceless to me. So we're going to talk about some things from this book, man, but it is groundbreaking, and it really helped to change and shape my my adult life, right? So basically, she breaks down a man's spiritual toolbox. She breaks down a man's spiritual toolbox, right? She says men are taught that it's not manly to be afraid or to demonstrate weakness or emotion, right? You guys pick that up from TV. Men are taught that it's not manly to be afraid or to demonstrate weakness or emotion. Yet certain emotions, if not expressed, can weaken your physical being. See, the people who are putting the systems in place responsible for our oppression truly understand what masculinity is in a Black man. And they're teaching you how to be the polar opposite of that. Because if you come into the awareness of what real masculinity is and you start practicing that, is going to transform the world. I promise you. Certain emotions, if not expressed, can weaken your physical being. Vulnerability, fear, guilt, shame, resentment, anger. When not acknowledged, these can lessen your ability to perceive circumstances around you and make conscious choices and respond. How many brothers you know, not 100% to the fault of their own, but more to the fault of the society that has taught them and given them their definition of manhood, will not allow themselves to be vulnerable, feel fear, guilt, shame, resentment, or anger. When that stuff is not acknowledged, these can lessen your ability to perceive your circumstances and make good choices. You know any brothers in your life not making good choices right now? Do you know any men in your life that aren't making good choices right now? Could it be because somebody has told them it's not manly to be vulnerable? They're not making good choices in their life. Could it be because somebody told them it's not manly to be fearful? Could it be they're not making good choices in their life because somebody told them it's not manly to feel guilt or shame? And because they're not acknowledging these emotions, these feelings, is causing them to not be able to perceive their circumstances, and therefore they're not making the best decisions. When certain emotions erupt within your being, you deny them as you were taught. It's not just that you don't express them, you don't even acknowledge them. You don't even acknowledge that you feel them. Brothers, I'm going to tell you right now today, if you are struggling in this area, you're not going to be the best husband you can be. You're not going to be the best father you can be. You're not going to be the best friend you can be. You're not going to be the best business partner you can be. This stuff really gets to the core of who you are and your real and true potential. Let's not let this false bravado, this false TV macho get in the way of you becoming your best self, right? Says not only do we not express these emotions, we don't even acknowledge that we feel them. Ask a man if he's scared. I ain't scared. What you talking about? I ain't scared. I ain't scared of nothing. Ask a man if he's saddened by anything. No, it's all good. Saps, I ain't sad. No, it's all good. See, we've been taught and we've been trained that it's not manly to feel certain emotions. We've been taught and we've been trained that it's not macho to never let them see you cry, never let them see you sweat, never let them see, never become vulnerable, right? These are the things that we've been taught, and this is the stuff that we're trying to live by and live up to. I will tell you, men, there's no such thing of not experiencing fear. And when you try to suppress that feeling of fear is when you make the wrong decision when you're faced with it. I want y'all to hear this. There's no such thing as not feeling fear. Fear is placed in us by God because it causes us to respect certain things and it keeps us safe. There's no such thing as not feeling fear. But when you try to suppress that feeling of fear, it can cause you it can cause you to not have the proper perspective and not perceive your circumstances. Yeah, the cemetery is full of people who made poor choices because they wouldn't acknowledge that feeling of fear. I ain't scared, and because I ain't scared, I'm gonna prove to you I ain't scared, and then you go out there and get yourself killed, go out there and get yourself hurt, or in the actual expression of that fear, you go out there and you hurt somebody else. We got to get away from this fake TV macho bravado crap, man. That's not reality. Not reality. When you do not, we said men, for the most part, not only do we not express these emotions, we don't even acknowledge that we feel them. We don't even acknowledge that we feel them. When you follow this false bravado, masculine nature, you strike out, blame others for what they made you do, looking at them as a cause of your response and your experiences. The inherent nature of men is to direct activity and energy outward. That's what we've been taught. Is we got this testosterone all up in us. So they show us over and over when a man gets mad in a TV sense or in the media, you show somebody get mad, you show them lashing out, you show them being destructive, you show them flipping tables over, getting mad, and somebody's got to hold them back and all of this stuff. We behave like that because that's how we've been trained to behave. We've been taught that that's what manhood looks like. We've been taught that that's how you express anger. That's how you express frustration. It says, for men, the concept of looking within is foreign. The concept of looking within is foreign. And yet, only when you're willing to admit that your feelings exist and that you have a right to express them will you be empowered to make solid choices from that place. I feel my fear, every ounce of it. I feel my vulnerability, every ounce of it. I feel my guilt. I feel my shame, every ounce of it. And because I feel it and I give myself permission to feel it, I can move from that place and make decisions from that place and not from a place of suppressing those emotions. So, what are the power tools for men when it comes to uncovering real and true manhood? Right. And then Hakeem says, don't forget, and they drink heavy. That's part of the suppression. Is I feel these things bubbling up inside of me. I want to suppress them, so I'm going to drink heavy. Because that's me trying not to acknowledge that these feelings and these emotions exist. I don't want to acknowledge them, so I'm going to drink myself away. Man, one of the things that I did to suppress what I was going through is I smoked about a quarter ounce of weed every day. From the time I was about 17, 18 years old, so I was about 22, 23 years old. And if I couldn't get my hands on the weed, then I would drink 40 ounces. I started drinking 40 ounces when I was about 15. So I'd get my buzz on, right? Because that was me suppressing everything that was bubbling up inside of me from a trauma-filled childhood. So when you see people around you doing that kind of stuff, know that they're trying to mask some pain. And that's what I was doing. Had my first drink when I was about 15 years old. And really, that began a downward spiral that I tried to hide. And eventually it came to a head and it busted, and it created a whale of a mess because no one taught me as a man how to feel, and that it was okay to feel these emotions. And then no one taught me how to properly express them and channel them, and then get to the place where I can begin to heal from them. So that's what we're going to be covering in the next couple of days, man. And this might be a 2-part series. But what are the power tools of reclaiming real manhood? Power tools of willingness, awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, confession, surrender, forgiveness, understanding, commitment, responsibility, right action, and stillness. Right? So again, these are power tools. This is what's going to help us reclaim the male spirit, helping men understand that you need these tools in your tool belt to help you navigate this world that we call life. Willingness, awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, confession, surrender, forgiveness, understanding, commitment, responsibility, right action, and stillness. So let's tackle the first few of these, see how far we can get. Number one, willingness. Willingness is readiness to accept information and embrace practices leading to spiritual and personal transformation. Willingness. It is the readiness to accept information and embrace practices that will lead to spiritual and a personal transformation. Fellas, are you even willing to listen to these next 2 days? Right? See, we've got to reclaim the real man spirit. Anthony Josh joined the post. This is Iyanla Van Zant's Up From Here, Reclaiming the Male Spirit. Iyanla Van Zant, Up From Here, Reclaiming the male spirit. A guide to transforming emotions into power and freedom. See, most men were never taught that emotions can be transformed into power. We've only been taught that you suppress your man up. Boy, man up. We've only been taught to suppress emotions. Never been taught that emotions become power. See, the word emotion is broken down to energy in motion. So what happens to most men is we take that energy and we send it into motion, but we internalize the motion, and we suppress and we suppress and we suppress and we suppress to either we drink ourselves into a coma, we smoke ourselves into a coma, or eventually we explode on the world. So willingness, fellas, we've got to learn. If we have come to the realization that most everything I've learned about being a man came from a position of someone trying to control our real masculinity, and we realize that the things that we learned about being a man are not 100% accurate, then you have to be willing to accept some new information and embrace some different practices so that it will lead to spiritual and personal transformation. That's the first tool in your toolkit, is to be willing to accept spiritual and personal transformation. Men must be willing to examine themselves, tell the truth about what they see, make a conscious decision to change, and be committed to take those actions that will facilitate the change. Yeah, toxic masculinity. I like the way you put that. It's toxic masculinity. That you are so right, man. You're so right. We've got to be willing to look in the mirror and tell the truth about what we see. Make a conscious decision to change it and be committed to take those actions that will facilitate the change. She says, willingness comes in three primary components. One, recognition of the need for change. Two, a desire to initiate the change. And three, sufficient discipline to maintain the change. Right? There's three phases or components to willingness. Talisha, good morning. Good morning. Gazillionaires in the building. You have to be, willingness comes in three components. Recognition of the need to change, a desire to initiate change, and sufficient discipline to maintain change. Right? Recognition of the need to change. If you're going to start the transformation process, you must first recognize the need to transform. This does not necessarily mean there's anything wrong with the way you are. Now, one of my favorite lines from Black Panther is when the Black Panther came into the sister's lab and she said, give me those little balls that did everything in the movie, right? She said, give them to me. She said, I need to update them. And he said, there's nothing wrong with them. They work just fine. And she said, because something works fine does not mean it cannot be improved upon. Brothers, one of the reasons we don't look ourselves in the mirror and tell ourselves the truth about the fact that we can be improved upon, because things are working just fine for a lot of us. Just because something is working fine doesn't mean that it can't be improved upon. Remember we went through last week? I put demand more of myself, demand more of me. There's nothing wrong. I'm heck of productive right now. I do a lot for my family, for my friends, for my business, for those I coach. I'm productive as all get out. But to look yourself in the mirror and say, I desire more, that's not an admission that something's wrong. I'm not saying that because you desire greater that there's something wrong. I'm looking myself in the mirror every day and I'm saying, Cortez, you put out a heck of an effort yesterday. But I think there's more. I think you left a little bit in the tank. I think there's more that you can give. Right? And this is why surrounding yourself with the right people and getting a coach in your life. I'm going to tell you what I do for my kids. I put my kids under the weight bench when I'm training them. And we don't count repetitions, because when you count repetitions, you instantly limit yourself. I said, we don't count repetitions. I want you to focus on just giving me everything you got. And I just want you, I don't want you, I need you to empty the tank. Can you do that for me? Can you empty the tank? I just want you to lay down and I just want you to empty the tank. And they say, yeah, coach, I got you. And they get under that bench and they start going ham. And they going, and they going, and they going, and they going. And every time they think they've emptied the tank, I said, no, you got more. I see it in you. You got more. I see it in you. Go harder, go harder. And they give me more, and they give me more, and they give me more. And their arms feel like they're giving out, and they start shaking a little bit. And I'm like, no, you got 2 more. Give me more, give me more. And it's only at that point do we start counting repetitions. Because at that point, when they move to the point of exhaustion, I say, okay, now I want you to focus. Your body thinks it's going to give up, but your mind is not going to let it. I want you to give me 10 more. And like, coach, really? Come on. I say, okay, give me 10 more and I'm going to help you. All right, coach, I'm going to give you all I got. So they're under the bench. They've already gone ham, 30, 40, 50 repetitions. They've gone ham. They've exhausted the tank. They think they have nothing left. And I said, give me more. Give me 10 more. But I'm going to help you this time. You know what I do? I put 2 fingers under the bar. And I say, go. And they start going hard. And I promise you, every single time, they can get the first 5, 6, 7 repetitions in without me doing anything. My fingers are under the bar, but I ain't lifting nothing. My fingers are there. They see a visual representation of support, but it's really all them. And they don't even need me until the last 3 or 4 repetitions. And then that's where growth happens. Right? Are you around the right people, men that are going to let you see that physical representation of support so that you're going to drive and give more of yourself? When you look yourself in the mirror, this is not an admission that there's something wrong. This is me saying, God, you gave and put something in me, and I want to give you the best of me every single day. So when I look myself in the mirror, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I produced yesterday. But Cortez, I think you can produce even more today. Right? So you recognize the need for change. And it's not a recognition of the need of fixing something, just a recognition of the need for change, to be better, to improve upon. That's what we're talking about. So you have to recognize the need for change, and then you have the desire. You need the desire to initiate the change. Willingness also encompasses desire. You may not, you may know that you can do better, but lack the desire to do so. That's why you have to be around the right people. See, I'm around people who are stretching me daily. I have some mentors and coaches in my life, man, that stretch me daily. I had to get away from around people who settle for mediocrity because it caused me to want to settle for mediocrity. Well, actually, it made me want to settle for average. See, when people settled for below average, and I come into the picture and I'm just average, but being average amongst people who are below average causes me to stand head and shoulders above them. And now all of a sudden, I think I'm doing something. When fact is, I was around people who were so far below average that even when I was below average, I was still above them. So that made me think I was accomplishing something. And then I started getting around people who are average, and they expose my below average activity. They expose my below average content. I had gotten content with being below average, and I started hanging with people who are average. I'm like, damn. I'm thinking they all of that. And then I started getting around people who are above average, and I realized the people that I was looking up to the wrong people. Those people were just average, and I'm trying to aspire to be at their level. No, they just average. I had to get around some people who are extraordinary. to stretch me to be extraordinary. Got to be careful, man. Sometimes it's very easy to become complacent being the big fish in a small pond, right? It's fellas, it's that pack of girls who there's one girl who's halfway decent looking and she only surrounds herself with 4s and 5s. She's a 7 herself, but when she surrounds herself with 3s, 4s, and 5s, it makes it appear that she's a 10. Come on, we're going all the way in today. She surrounds herself with 3s, 4s, and 5s because she's only a 7. But because she's surrounded with 3s, 4s, and 5s, it elevates her and makes her appear to be a 10. It's the same thing. Fellas, we like to be the big fish in a small pond. They say when you're the smartest person in the room, it's time for you to change rooms. Look yourself in the mirror. There's nothing wrong with where you are, but could you be greater? Could you elevate? Could you go to another level? This is what we're talking about, man. So we're talking about. We're gonna destroy this phony TV masculinity crap, and we're gonna reclaim the real man spirit. The real warrior spirit is not all about physically beating and dominating. The real warrior spirit is so much deeper than that. And we're gonna reclaim that today. Right? So you have to desire to change, right? It your conscious desire to undertake a course of action that will ultimately result in mental, emotional, and spiritual evolution. See, I'm going to keep going back to the people you're hanging with, because when I see people that I used to hang with and they say, "Damn, dog, you changed." Bro, it's been 10 years since we hung out. I should have changed. I'm saying to myself, "Damn, dog, you still the same. It's been 10 years since we hung out. You still the same." Are you surrounding yourself with people who are evolving themselves and who will hold you accountable for your own evolution? Man, you changed. You acting funny. Man, you different. It's been 6 years, bro. I should be different. I'm 6 years old. I've been around the sun 6 more times. I should be different. Why you still the same is the question, not why am I different? That's not the question. The question is why you still the same. That's the question. Are you hanging with people who are going to elevate you, who are going to encourage your evolution and hold you accountable to do so? Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You're a reflection of the company you keep. You got that right. So you have to have the desire to initiate the change. Then you have to have the discipline to maintain the change. You have to have the desire to initiate the change, get the change started. But then it takes discipline for you to maintain the change. When you decide to initiate personal change, you'll need tremendous discipline. Remaining convinced that I should do certain things in a particular way consistently, even when I couldn't see the results immediately, was a challenge. See, I teach my son, there's only a handful of things that I really harp on with my son. Number one, a man has got to be responsible. A man has got to be disciplined. A man has got to be responsible. A man has got to be disciplined. And my simplest definition of discipline is this: doing what you know needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it, and or when you're tempted to do otherwise. That's my definition of discipline. It's doing what you know needs to be done, especially when you do not feel like doing it and or when you're tempted to do otherwise. For the last 18 months or so, I've been doing push-ups every morning before I start the show. It's kind of a routine, right? And I've gotten myself up to today, I did 110 straight push-ups, right? Every single morning, I'm tempted to do otherwise. It never fails, man. Every morning. This morning, we started our hustle. I had to take my wife to my sister-in-law because she's going to ride to work with my sister-in-law and then get back in time to do the show. I get back in time to do the show. It's like, Cortez, you got some stuff that you need to prepare, so go ahead and skip your push-ups. Every morning, it never fails. I'm tempted to do other than what I know needs to be done. My simple definition of discipline: doing what you know needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it and or when you're tempted to do otherwise. Sometimes I'm tempted to do otherwise and I don't feel like doing it. You got to do it anyway. So it's going to require discipline for you to maintain the change, right? You got to desire to change, right? And then you got to recognize the need for change. Then you got to have the desire to get started. And then you have to be disciplined to maintain the change. Got to be disciplined to maintain the change. 7:55, we got time for the next one. We'll do the next one, and then you guys have to come back tomorrow to get some more of this stuff. But is this, you guys, you know any men in your life that should hear this? Is there any men in your life that probably should be tuning into this? Hit the share button right now. I know we're coming to the end of the show. Go ahead and hit the share button, man. If you know any men in your life that probably should be tuning into this, right? Now, you can't tag them in the post and say you need to listen to this, because as a man, what is he going to do? As a phony, fake TV macho bravado man, what is he going to do? He going to puff up his chest. What you mean I need to listen to this? I don't need to listen to nothing. I'm straight. Right? You can't do it. I'm telling you, once we get through this, you guys are going to start to recognize and see the fake, phony TV bravado. And if you're married to a man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because the man that you are in your house with, the man that you've been with for a long, that guy is different from the guy that shows his face in public. And I know, ladies, sometimes you're like, really? That ain't you. But TV has taught them that this is the face that I wear in public. I stand tall, broad shoulders, I puff my chest out. I talk loud, I yell, I scream to get my way, but that ain't the man you married. I promise it ain't. And ladies, I'm getting a thumbs up. You know that ain't the man you married. What happens when the man you married becomes a man we see in public all day, every day? What happens when we show the world and show our babies, especially our boys, the man you married? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, we gotta reclaim the real male spirit. So I talked to the man, and yeah, appreciate that. So willingness to exchange. Willingness to change. You got to have desire. You have to have discipline. Recognize you need to change. Second tool in the toolbox is awareness. Awareness. Much of what we feel on any particular day has very little to do with what happens to us that day. It's intricately, but subconsciously connected to what happened in our past. Much of what happens to us today has very little to do what happened to us that day is intricately but subtly, subconsciously connected to what has happened in our past. I used to wonder as you sit back and you watch TV. I remember I was watching The Sopranos, and I got into that where I would binge on that for hours, right? And because it was off the air for a few years before I even started watching it, but I binged on it, and I watched Tony Soprano go see the psychiatrist, right? And she was always digging and trying to go back into his past. But this is what it's talking about. Very little of what happens to us today is caused and how we react to it. How we react to it is not about what happened today. How we react to it is more about what happened in our past. Give an example, positive example. The way I treat my wife today is a direct reflection to how I seen my mom being treated in my past. See, my mom was in a very abusive relationship early on when I was a young kid. And that's what caused her to send me away to go live with my father when I ended up living with my grandma for a couple years because my father didn't show up to pick me up like he was supposed to. So I ended up living with my grandma, and that's where the sexual molestation happened in my grandma's house. So I harbored a lot of bitterness and resentment because of that towards my mom, and not realizing that one of the reasons she sent me away because she was trying to protect me from this jerk, right? But I treat my mom a certain way. I treat my wife a certain way because I saw my mom go through that. Now, because my mom dealt with an abusive relationship, I saw her be involved with a no-getter for almost 30 years. I'm like, but now I understand, thinking back, because she was in such an abusive relationship early on, she ended up with this very timid, this very passive guy who it was polar opposite. It was just ridiculous. The lack of example of a man that this guy demonstrated in my mom's life all this time. So the way I treat my wife is a direct relation. I know it's a direct relation to what I've seen in my past, right? So how we respond to things that are happening to us today has nothing to do with that thing. It has everything to do with what has happened in our past. But we got to develop the awareness to be able to touch those things and see how those things are related, right? So that we can respond appropriately to that. When people push our hot buttons, they trigger feelings and emotions that lie below our level of awareness. You ever thought about you ever asked yourself, why did that send me through the roof? This ain't the first time that somebody said that to me. This ain't the first time somebody did that to me. But why did that, this time, on this particular occasion, coming from this particular person, why did that send me through the roof? Because this time the person who did it to you, the person who said it to you, reminds you or are eerily similar to someone in your past. And you've heard it 1,000 times before, but when it came from this person on this day, in this circumstance, in this situation, you got to get to the awareness of, why did this happen this way? Why was my response this way? Because chances are this person reminds you or has been connected in some way to some hurt, some past failure, some past misconduct that really you never really dealt with. And now you jumping all down your kid's throat because he asked for some ice cream. Awareness, man. We got a lot of past hurts, especially men. We got a lot of past hurts that we have never healed from. A lot of them. And because we're not aware of those things, then we can have these knee-jerk reactions at the drop of a dime. Blow all up on somebody, man, for no given reason. Right. Somebody asked, I know, I think Lisa D said, what book is this? This is Iyanla Vanzant's Up From Here, Reclaiming the Male Spirit, a guide to transforming emotions into power and freedom. Because of that subconscious link with the past, when we respond to someone in anger, we're often totally unaware of our reasons. We think we're hot under the collar about the other person, but it's not him or her, really. It's us responding to old stuff of which we're completely unaware of. Awareness is a tool, a powerful tool in our toolkits, fellas. But we got to start using, just like any tool, man. And when it comes to these tools, I want you to, just like any other tool, most people are not good at using those tools efficiently and effectively. That's why you call a professional. Yeah, I got a jackhammer, but I can't bust up the sidewalk without hitting the pipe because I don't know how to use that tool. Right? Fellas, we got to learn these tools exist and learn how to use them efficiently and effectively, and eventually become professionals at using these tools. We're going to reclaim the male spirit. We're going to transform what fake masculinity is into real masculinity. Yeah, we all do. We are all sick. We are all sick. We are all sick and need help. I totally agree with that. So tomorrow we'll get to acknowledgement and we'll get through as many as we can. This might be a 2 or 3 part series, guys, but hang in there with me. And make sure that you share the show, even though it's over. Go ahead and share it so that people like the page, get the notification, and they'll come back tomorrow. I think this is good, a good beginning. I'm not a therapist by any means, but to go over some of this stuff and know that some of this stuff exists, then you can do your own self-reflection, you can do your own self-study, and then maybe you will have the courage to go ahead and hire a professional to sit down and talk with and help you work through some of this stuff as well. So remember, today's show is brought to you by the Black Billionaires Club as they present Generational Wealth Building Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, April 6th through the 8th. You can get your tickets at wealth.joincorteznow.com. Show is also brought to you by Mikey's Munchies Vending. If you're interested in learning more about the vending machine industry and how you can create some passive income by filling vending machines once every couple weeks, I'd love to talk to you about a special offer that we're putting together in conjunction with my man, Mikey, the kid who knows the biz. He's the youngest vending machine business owner, I think, in Missouri, and we're checking to see if in the nation. He might be the youngest vending machine business owner in all of the nation. At 10 years old, he started this business when he was 8. So, but we're putting together some stuff because now he wants to get other young entrepreneurs involved in the vending industry. So if you got kids and you want to help them start their own business, they can follow Mikey and learn from him and get some vending machines from his connections and get their journey started in entrepreneurship, being vending machine owners. And I'm part of his mentorship team. So obviously I'd be helping you guys along the way, get all that stuff. So Mikey's Munchies Vending.com is the website that you can go and learn a little bit more about what is going on with that opportunity. And then if you want to join the Black Wealth Movement, you guys know, just hit me up on that. So until I talk to you tomorrow, I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every one of you. Peace out, y'all.